Hello, everyone, and welcome to Behavioral Psychology at Colorado Christian University. In this presentation, we're going to be going over the concept of extinction. Extinction is an important topic in behavioral psychology. So by the end of this video and after completing your assigned reading, you'll be able to define and then identify examples of extinction and terms related to extinction, such as extinction burst and spontaneous recovery. Then finally, we'll go over two major factors that influence the extinction process in behavior modification. First, to define extinction in the text, Miltenberger defines this term as the phenomenon that occurs when a behavior that has been reinforced for a period of time is no longer reinforced. Therefore, the behavior stops occurring. We're looking at reinforcement that goes on and then suddenly may disappear or gradually tapers off. As you can see, if the behavior is reinforced on and off, however, it will continue to occur. So even if the reinforcement doesn't happen every time, as long as it happens on occasion, the behavior will continue. If the behavior is no longer reinforced at all, the idea of cutting off reinforcement, eventually it will stop occurring based on the principle of extinction. And this would be called a behavior that has been extinguished. A couple examples of extinction. We can see that the three individuals with the behaviors in these examples were originally being reinforced and then eventually no longer were reinforced. So we see Robbie wants to date Donna, but she's stopped answering his phone calls and his text messages. So from this example, it sounds like originally she was picking up the phone and now she's not. So her picking up the phone, Donna picking up, is a reinforcement for Robbie's calling behavior. For a while, he keeps trying to get in touch with her, but eventually realizes that she's not going to answer, he's not going to be able to date her, and he stops calling her. So his calling behavior or his attempts to contact her have been extinguished through her lack of response, and response would be the reinforcement for his calling behavior. In the second example, thinking about somebody Ken's frequently staying late at work. He may have previously received kudos or thanks from his supervisor for doing this and for going the extra mile, but after not hearing anything from his supervisor about it, after a few months, he starts to go home each night at the scheduled time. So his behavior is no longer being reinforced with praise from his supervisor. Therefore, the behavior no longer occurs, and he stops staying late at work. Finally, the idea of George, a person named George, bringing muffins to each staff meeting and people originally thanking him, eating the muffins, providing him with those positive comments about what he's doing. But in this example, people eventually stopped eating the muffins and no longer thanked George. Could be that everyone went on a diet, could be that everyone got tired of the muffins, but for whatever reason, they removed the reinforcement of thanking him and enjoying the muffins, and eventually George no longer brings the muffins. So his behavior of bringing muffins has been extinguished through lack of reinforcement from those at the meetings. The term extinction burst is defined in our text as an increase in frequency, duration, or intensity of the unreinforced behavior during the extinction process. We may see the problem behavior getting worse before it gets better. For example, if a child used to receive cookies after screaming and crying, and then a parent no longer provides the cookies when the child is screaming and crying, the child may scream and cry even more loudly in the hopes that the cookies will be provided eventually. So instead of just screaming and crying, you might see the child down on the floor. You might see the child having aggression against property or hitting or throwing things. You may see an even higher, more shrill tone in the scream. We see these behaviors increasing and escalating as the child is still attempting to obtain the reinforcement of the cookie using an avenue that previously worked. Another important term to remember is spontaneous recovery. The idea of spontaneous recovery is defined in our text as a tendency for behavior to occur again if a situation is similar to to a situation in which the behavior was previously reinforced before the extinction. So we remember Robbie and Donna. Although Robbie eventually stopped calling Donna, occasionally he'll still call her. So let's say it's a holiday or he hears a song that reminds him of her. So if Donna ever answers Robbie's call, maybe she feels bad for him, maybe she wants to make sure that nothing's wrong, whatever motivates her to pick up that call, the moment that she does so, his calling behavior has been reinforced again because he's been able to contact her. Therefore, his behavior may begin to occur more frequently, and this would be spontaneous recovery. We see the behavior now occurring again because Donna has reinforced it by answering the phone. Finally, if we're thinking about factors that influence extinction in this process, we really need to consider looking at the bottom bullet here, frequency of reinforcement before extinction and any reinforcement that occurs after extinction. So first, if the behavior was continuously reinforced before extinction, then the behavior is going to go away pretty quickly when that reinforcement is taken away. For instance, if the child cries and each time the child cries, the parent gives the child a cookie, the extinction process is going to go pretty quickly. That reinforcement of the cookie has been removed, and now the crying and screaming behaviors are going to stop, and it's not going to take too long because the child quickly will see after a potential extinction burst that the behavior is not working anymore. So the hope is that the child will look for a different way to communicate. However, if the behavior was intermittently reinforced, it will take longer for extinction to occur. So for instance, if the child would scream and cry and if the parent was having a good day, he or she would not give the child a cookie. But if the parent was stressed or tired and the child began to scream and cry, the parent would say, okay, you can have a cookie. So some days it worked, some days it didn't. This is going to take, extinction is going to take longer in this situation. It'll be more gradual because the child will continually be thinking, well, maybe today is the day. So it's going to be a slower process if there was intermittent reinforcement. And those are the main ideas. Please reach out, as always, with any questions or comments, thoughts. Looking forward to working through this session with you, and great work so far in the course.